Hopefully this is the last solo podcast I do and that you see for both of our sakes. The plan was never to have a solo podcast. It was always for guests to come on, but I wanted to make sure I was comfortable enough first. So here's me being comfortable enough. I don't care about the dead air. I don't care about any of it. This is actually way more relaxing. Yeah, the plan was to get weird and wonderful guests on. People with cool stories, people with cool jobs. Like a psychic. I've always wanted to speak to a psychic. Not that I believe in them, but I don't know. Hopefully they could explain it to me. Maybe change my mind. I doubt it, but I think it would be nice to have a conversation with them. It would be interesting for both of us to get each other's side. Actually, one of the main ones was a dwarf. I think that they've got so many things I could ask them. I've got 101 questions for dwarves. Or little people, I don't know. It just seems worse saying little people. I'm a little person. Dwarves are dwarves. Or midgets, I don't think is definitely not midgets. I don't know. But that's a question I could ask them. What they actually want to be called. Whether little people is just degrading or doesn't make sense because it's a disability, not just a little person. I'll pull up my list then. Oh, a throuple. I wanted someone who's been or is in a throuple, which is 3 people in a relationship together. That sounds fun. But there's a lot of arguments. I actually went on a date with a girl who was a vegan. I took her to the grill house. Didn't know she was a vegan. I did know. I forgot she was a vegan. She ate chicken in the end, so not the best vegan. And she went on a throuple date once. And I had 100 questions for her that I didn't ask. She was boring cunt. So, that date didn't go well. Didn't like her too much. Who else? Mormons. I've always wanted to speak to Mormons. I actually went to the Mormon church. It's the only church I've ever been to. 3 times I went. I was expecting something. I was expecting some kind of crazy, wacky Mormon, I don't know, something just a bit wild, something to talk about. I wanted to interview them, actually. And I went there and they're just the nicest people. Just normal. Like, so much happier than the rest of us. So I want to get them on. I want to share their side of the story. I want to see if there is any wacky stuff going on. But I don't think there is. I think they're just normal people who are happy because they found, I don't know if it's God. I think it's Joseph Smith is the guy that they like. I think it's to do with God too. I don't know. I didn't really listen. I'm not very good at listening. My goal isn't to embarrass anyone either. That's not the goal. I want to get these kinds of people on, but not to embarrass or belittle anyone. It's just because I'm interested. I want to get the bulk of humans on Earth, every different view that anyone has. I want to get them all on at some point in my life, and not for the podcast. I just actually want to talk to these people. That's the only reason I started a podcast, is because when I meet someone like that, like the Mormons or Latter-day Saints, I think they're called Latter-day Saints. It's interesting. They just got a different view on life. There's actually something more to them than just a normal person. Maybe you want to hear some stories about me. Yeah, I thought it'd be a good idea. I gotta stop saying yeah and It's a good idea for you to hear stories about me. It's not a good idea for you to hear stories about me. But I thought if I told some embarrassing stories, then maybe it would make these people more likely to come on. They'd know then I'm not trying to embarrass them. If I could embarrass myself, then I don't find them embarrassing. The first story is when I was back in school. in IT class, we had a teacher, Mr. Davis. I don't know if I should say his name. I'll bleep it out. And he was really excited this one day, and he was going around the class, and he was hunching over everyone, and he was whispering to them, so I didn't hear what he was saying, but he came to us, me and Will, and he said, "Hey guys, I've got some really good news about my me and my wife." And a few nights before, I'd watched Borat, where one of the jokes in that is, "My wife is dead, high five." I thought that was fucking hilarious. So he came over and he hunched over the table and he said, "Hey guys, I got some really good news about me and my wife." And I said, "Is she dead?" Thinking that he'd like high-five me, fucking, yeah, I wish, mate, all that. Well, no, he didn't. No, he was fuming. He was really fucking angry, and he he just looked like taken aback. He was like, just get out. Get out. He made me just stand out. I stood outside for about 20 minutes. I don't know. He was probably cooling down because I asked if his wife had died when he said he had some good news. And I at the time, I thought it was funny. And then I got outside and I'm standing there outside a classroom and I was going, yeah, no, that's not. I can see how that wouldn't be funny to to somebody else. And it might only be funny in Borat's world. I don't know why Borat was the guy I decided to take my comedy after. Most people in the film didn't like him. So I don't know why they thought that was funny, but he came outside. He walked out the door, and I looked at him, and he saw the regret in my eyes when he looked at me. And I just said, "I'm sorry." And he went, "Yeah, no, you're sorry." And he let me back in the class, and I don't think we ever got on again. Yeah, that was maybe one of the most embarrassing moments of my life. Not many consequences to it, but pretty embarrassing. Second story, that's just terrible. You don't want to hear my embarrassing story. Second embarrassing story is when I pissed my pants. I was at Winter Wonderland, which was like a Christmassy carnival thing near me. I went to Nando's before we went back, and I ate butterfly chicken. I remember it. It was lovely, but I had a horrible stomach about half an hour later. So I got to the toilets in Winter Wonderland and fucking just runny poo, just like into the bowl. It was everywhere. It was hitting the bowl and splashing back. It was fucking a nightmare. And one of the boys' brothers was picking us up, and they were like, "Come on, man! Like we got to go. Like my brother's here." So I ran out the toilets with them. Go into the car. I was like, "Oh, it's all out at least. Oof, that's over." And then I was in between the car and the toilets, and there was no time. I needed another shit. So I ran up this grass bank. It was it's still really embarrassing. At this grass bank, there was people like nearby, but I think I got away with it. So I pulled my trousers and pants down and squatted behind this bush. I couldn't lean up against anything. I was just squatting, and I was just shitting just everywhere. And I didn't realize at the same time I was pissing, because I hadn't taken everything fully down. I was pissing into my pants. Just this cotton bowl of urine just sitting in my pants. And the boy's like, "Come on, we got to go. My brother's here. Like he's waiting for us." So then I had to go back to. I couldn't wipe. There's nothing to wipe with, so I had to go back to the car just with piss sodden pants. And I hadn't met this guy before. I had to sit in the back of his car, and I didn't tell him. I didn't tell anybody. They kind of just got in the car, and then I took my hoodie off and sat on it so his car didn't smell like piss. It was never mentioned the whole 20-minute journey back, but he must have known that the strong smell of piss coming from his car. I never told him about that. I saw him loads of times afterwards. Never told him. If I do see him again, I'll tell him. Nice guy. What else was embarrassing in my life? There was this one more embarrassing story before we cut this off. This is probably not going out, but I used to go on Tinder when I was about 20, 21, single, obviously. Sometimes not. No, when I was single, and I live in Wales, South Wales, and the radius on Tinder is a circle, and it just caught. I put it on 20 miles because I was getting desperate at that point, and I hit Ilfracombe, which is a part of Cornwall, on my radius. So I started speaking to this girl. I didn't know she was from Cornwall, which is about a 4-hour drive. And this is the time I used to smoke loads of weed. And she said, well, do you want to come over tonight? Well, I got loads of weed. I got these big joints rolled. I'll have some fun. And I didn't have work the next day, so I thought, that sounds like a laugh. I'll take a drive. It's a good story. Yeah, turned out to be a good story. I thought I'd take a drive down. So I got on my KA, my blue Ford KA with flames spray painted on the side. That I was doing a lot of drugs at this point. I don't anymore. Drugs are bad. Don't do them. But I was doing a lot at this point in my life. So I got these flames spray painted on the side of this shitty Ford KA. And I just started driving down to Cornwall, 4 hours away. My tyre blew out on the way down. I had to change that on the side of the road, which I think is illegal, but I had to get it done, There was weed and a girl waiting for me. So I finally got down there, picked her up at the house, and she did not look like a picture. She was a fair few numbers down from a picture, but I thought that was fine. And then I started chatting to her for 5-10 minutes, and she was just really, really annoying, really frustrating. I thought we were going back to her house, smoke some weed and do whatever else. It's Tinder, so I assumed I was going to get a fairly good night in me. But then she said, oh no, we're picking my friend up. We're driving down to my work, and we're going to pick my friend up. We're going to go drive and sit in the car and smoke it. And I was like, I'd already been caught by police about 3 times at this point for smoking weed in my car. So I was just like, I don't want to do this. I wanted to get rid of her anyway. She was really annoying. Nice girl, I think. She wasn't. She was annoying. I felt awful. I'm too polite. I was too polite. I'm not too polite, but I felt too polite to just kick her out my car and say, just fuck off. So I took her to the chip shop where she worked, which was on the docks down in Cornwall. And she went in, and I was sat outside just waiting. I was just thinking, I can't do this. It's going to be a terrible night, and I might get caught again. And so I was sitting outside, and I saw a roundabout ahead of me, and I was like, fuck it. So I put my foot down, get to this roundabout. I'm like swerving around people because it's like a shopping strip, so it's not really like a dock. So I'm swerving past people, go around this roundabout. As I'm driving back up past the chip shop, hearing a friend walk out, and I caught him, and I was like, oh fuck, and I just felt so embarrassed. I was gonna stop and say something, but I just carried on and just looked dead ahead of me whilst hearing a friend watch me speed past. that was pretty embarrassing. I had about 50 phone calls. I didn't answer any of them. And I just drove home. We just drove 4 hours back home on a spare tire. And yeah, it was really embarrassing. They actually got caught that night smoking weed. So if I had gone, I would have been caught for the 4th time and probably arrested at that point. Yeah, so they're my embarrassing stories. And hopefully, I got more, but I can't tell them. Hopefully, hearing these embarrassing stories, someone will come on my podcast and not feel embarrassed. Yeah, I think that's it for another episode of the Midsize Dog Podcast. Thank you very much. Goodbye.